Welcome to Excel Ultimate's new series on the forehand. In this video series, we're going to be building the forehand from the ground up, talking a little bit about what's going on for the throw, and then introducing certain parts so that everyone out there can have the perfect and flawless forehand mechanics. The best part about a forehand is it all comes down to timing. You don't need to be the strongest or tallest or biggest person on the field to throw it far. Anybody out there that's watching this video can open up the entire field, not just with the forehand, but if you get these mechanics correctly, you'll have the scuba, blade, and hammer as well. Let's dive in to episode 1, which is what is the forehand. In this video, we're gonna walk you through what's going on a forehand so that hopefully not only you can work on your own, but you can also show and help others build up their mechanics. Now, what we want to think about for the forehand is the same concept as a whip. A common mistake a lot of people make with the forehand is they throw it, right? It's not how to get maximum distance. What you want to do instead is you want to build up the ability for this arm to act like a whip, move it, and then snap, and that snap is your release. So the first thing is we're going to break the forehand down into 5 parts. And throughout the rest of this video series, we'll break down each part one at a time. This video is just to show all of them at once. The first part is the lower body. A lot of people think, well, what is the lower body doing when it comes to throwing a forehand? What you want to do is you want to generate so much power that when this right heel strikes, and this is talking a little bit more for the power throws, you don't need to do this on every under or touch throw, but when this right heel strikes, what's going to happen is all of this energy is now going to shoot through this heel, up through your body, come through the hand, and go all the way to the fingertip. So what we want to do now for this right foot is we don't want to throw these hooks and have everything coming forward. It can feel like we're getting more power, but what we want to do with this lower body is we want to step a little bit forward and out to the side because there's going to be a mark. But when this heel strikes, we now need this to brace. Okay, we don't want to absorb energy down into the ground because that's just wasting potential energy that we can get back through the body into the hand. Okay, so nothing like this when we huck. It's okay to absorb some of that energy down when you're throwing it under. That's totally fine. But for these maximum throws, we want this heel strike, stopping, bracing, and then getting everything else started. You know you're doing this correctly when the heel strike comes where the upper body is in the maximum kind of reach back. Okay, what you don't want is you don't want the heel strike and then to start the wind up, right? You want to stretch out the whip or the rubber band, and then now everything's stretched. Now once the heel hits, it's going to start everything else. So again, the lower body has an important role in the forehand, especially for the huck. You need to push with some power, you need to brace and bring that energy back into the throw. That's why you've probably seen people huck and fall back, because all this energy is shooting from the ground up through the body, through the hips, shoulders, elbows, and finger. Part 2, which is the hips. Everybody's like, well, how do I use my hips, or what do I do with my hips? If you think about a whip, again, that's going to be our analogy, is the bigger parts like the handle or, slightly up the chain, towards the tip of the whip, they move slower, and that's okay. We don't want to throw with our hips and, spin our hips like this. Like, that's not what we're doing here. What happens is as this heel strike occurs, now just ever so slowly, the hips, which are a little bit, stretched, if you do it right, will just slowly come back to neutral. And since it's such a big part early in the chain, just that slow movement is perfect. We talk about timing for the forehand. Timing is the most important part. Again, if you like rush this hip turn trying to use your hips, then that's going to speed up the timing and create a lot of problems later. So the hips, again, is simply a heel strike and a slow turn. You don't even have to really turn them yourself. The body's already stretched out, so it does it naturally. Did you know that Excel Ultimate now has a program dedicated for teams? Let us help set up your season overview, incorporate practice plans, and work on developing strategies and systems to help grow your program. You can reach out at excelultimate.com or on Instagram at excelultimate to set up a free consultation. Next part, as we go up, is the shoulder. When the heel strike occurs and the hip is slowly starting to rotate, again, the shoulder has kind of come back a little bit. And similar to the hips, when we talk about the shoulder on the forehand, you don't like rush your shoulder forward. Like that's awkward, that can lead to some injuries. The shoulder still is moving pretty slow. Slow, 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 and all the way till fast. The shoulder is probably still in that slow camp. The shoulder comes back, the hips start to turn, and then the shoulder simply comes forward. So that's really all you get on the shoulder movement. You know, it's not a rush here. It's a simple guide forward. And since the shoulder, to me, when I throw my forehand, is a little bit harder to like feel and control, simply let your elbow do this work. When the elbow comes forward, then the shoulder's going to get into that natural position. And then when the shoulder can't move any further, that's what initiates the elbow to whip out and get you some energy. So again, for the shoulder, it's elbow back, stretch, foot lands, elbow comes forward, shoulders coming forward. And when the shoulder stops, because you don't do this with the forehand, the shoulder's just gonna stop organically and naturally, and then you're left with your elbow drive. The cool part about a forehand is, and we talked about the lower body, hips, and shoulder, but we can just with our wrist, elbow, and middle finger, honestly throw close to 50 or 60 yards. That means this part of the throw, to me, feels a little bit more important. Now, it's great to have that base, but now let's kind of talk about what's going on and where all the action is occurring. Once our shoulder has hit this spot, the elbow comes forward and the wrist snaps. We talked about that. But putting the elbow in the right place is very important. What we want to teach or do, depending if we're a player or coach, is get the elbow back like we're elbowing somebody behind us. That stretches it out, and this is okay. No, a lot of people talk about like reaching back and throwing. You're leaving a lot of range of motion on the table, and range of motion is going to help you throw far. So elbow behind, like elbow somebody right back here. And then from this point, the elbow is going to come forward and lead the wrist, because we've kind of noticed a pattern. The foot leads the hip leads the shoulder and elbow kind of work together a little bit, but the elbow in front of the wrist adds a lot more snap to the whip. The common mistake I see is a lot of people throw with their elbow and wrist in the same line. Just this is gonna get you 10 to 15 yards, where if you just bring the disc back here and allow it to pull through, you're gonna double that distance. So elbow back, elbow somebody behind you, it comes forward, it pulls the wrist, and then what's gonna happen at the end of the throw, if you do everything correctly, everything slow, 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 but the middle finger, which is now behind the wrist, which is behind the elbow, snaps forward in a whip, and that disc right there is going full field.